What's going on, Degenerates? We are back once again with another UDL coach interview. Today we are covering Arcanine Division. What you laughing over there for, Wake? We got Arcanine Division coach WakemanVGC here in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. WakemanVGC, owner of GLDL, conqueror of that ass. He is here to give us insight in on his team here in the UDL season, and we are going to get right into it. I am Toby, joined by Raz.
Raz, joined by Toby.
And let's bring it in. How you doing, Wakeman?
I'm pretty good here in my beanbag, so I'm feeling energized.
Beanbag power.
That's the secret, is that we're actually just joined by the beanbag. Wake happens to be in it.
He's like a growth on the beanbag, and it created him.
I'm not using the power from it right now because I got to save it for my match versus Hunter right after this.
That's fair. That's fair. It's turned off right now.
Yeah.
I wish... If we weren't talking about UDL, I would talk about that match right away.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
All right. Well, maybe we'll talk about that one in a later video. All right. Well, Wakeman, we're going to just ask you a few questions here. We want to get your insight on all things UDL. Your adoring fans, i.e. me and Raz, would love to know everything that went on with that. So we are going to start off by... tell us a little bit about your draft process, like what you were wanting to go for originally, how that changed, if any snipes, backroom deals, anything changed that up.
So basically, my plan was to solo draft, like not get any help, and I sent a plan to Toxic Crusader, and then he ended up just helping me the whole time. But so shout out to Toxic, but the original plan was like Torn Metagross with Entei, Bulu, because it was really good value in the tier. A lot of similar pieces like Primarina, Persian, Pincurchin, Oranguru. So a lot of things were similar. What?
I'm just pausing.
No, nothing.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, so that was the plan, and then what made me pivot away from the Metagross was, who was it? Cosmic Kyle DM'd me, and he at the time he had taken like one Pokemon for like 5 points or something, so he had like almost 200 points left, and he's like, "Hey, so I know you said you were going for Metagross, but now I am too." And so then I was like, okay, I've used like almost 100 points already, and I can't fight this. So I just pivoted away. And went for the Cinderace instead. Also, I think Entei was gone too. Who did you didn't get Entei, did you? Yeah, you did.
I got Entei.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Entei went, and then I knew Metagross was going to be expensive if I tried to get it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pivot off of this. And then my only real backroom deal, I reached out to a couple people independently and was like, hey, can you not get Primarina? And they were like, sure. But other than that, it was just me and Rolo had shared plans and agreed not to upbid each other.
Right.
Other than that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Such a Kyle move.
It is such a Kyle move.
Hey man, I know I have twice as many points as you, and I wasn't going to go for this, but now I'm going to.
Now I'm gonna. Man. What a fucking ass. Anyway.
It worked out pretty well.
I mean, it worked for him. I think your team's actually better off this way anyway. But, so I guess that brings us into, excuse me, give us a little bit of info about your team here. Like, looking at it for the uninitiated. What about this team is so fucking spectacular, so correct? Like, what about this team? What can it do? What is it good at? What might it struggle with? What do you, like, without revealing all your super secret text, like, what is this team?
I mean, pretty much it's just a Tailwind type of team. Like, it's got a lot of abusers for Tailwind, like Marowak and Primarina and Regidrago, I would say, are the main ones.
Yeah.
Cinderace likes Tailwind too, but I wouldn't say it needs it as much as the others. But then, I've got a pretty well fleshed out Trick Room mode with Oranguru, Marowak, and Pincurchin. And I don't, I don't think I'm gonna be setting Trick Room that much probably, but I felt like it was nice to have, especially when kind of the obvious answer to Tailwind is like setting Trick Room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Pincurchin is like the slowest thing, pretty much. But yeah, basically, it just wants to go fast, and I think maybe a problem is that the bulk is a little bit low in general.
Sure.
And some of my pieces have pretty common weaknesses. Like I think I have a lot of ice weaknesses. I have quite a few rock weaknesses. But I have like good checks to those, like Lucario and Cinderace.
Yeah.
The Lucario is probably the pick I'm most like questioning. I think it's good, like it does its own thing, but I'm a little worried that like it might not ever come over Cinderace. The nice thing is it can like scarf coaching into Cinderace with Inner Focus, and I do have the beat up mode with Persian. And that's the other thing. Like I think having Torn and Persian on the team is super good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't think it's a team that has like a ton of like hidden tech really, but
it just kind of goes burr, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
yeah, so a lot of people have been putting out like power rankings of the Arcanine division. I think we got like 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah.
And it seems like the general consensus is that your team is top 2 for sure, sometimes top 1 depending on who you ask. I don't think you'd ever disagree with that, but we did get a take that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I don't think anybody thinks that Cinderace is bad, but do you think that it's one of your weaker links, or do you think people are underrating it on your team comp?
Well, I definitely wouldn't disagree that it's top 2 because I put it number 1 in my own.
The official one, by the way.
The official one, yeah. But I mean, I would say that Cinderace is gonna. I don't think it's gonna carry as hard as it does on like a lot of comps. Like what season was it? VBA season 2, I had it, and it was kill leader for like a good chunk of the season, and it just kind of like auto won a lot of matchups. I think its function might be more similar to my current GLDL team, where it's kind of a secondary max option, but it's still really good when it does. My main thing is like Tailwind plus Cinderace just means you basically beat like all weather modes. And so I think that's going to be really nice into some of these teams. As well as just like, it's always just like Cinderace is just strong. But I would say it might be one of the weaker pieces. But I also like, other than maybe Torn, I don't know. I don't really know if I have anything that's like, this is coming every single week. So like, because like I have so much offensive pressure from like all the different parts of my team. I would say, I mean, like I said, Lucario is probably the weakest link, but I wouldn't say. I think people are sleeping on Cinderace on this comp a little bit, just a little bit.
Okay, right. Fair enough.
That makes sense.
I guess a follow-up question to that would be, what's your message to Dan Stout Gaming about Cinderace?
Listen, man, I don't know what... Okay, he's got like a vendetta against Cinderace, and I'm not 100% sure what the root of it is. I know like before he's made points about it kind of being a noob crusher, which I think is true to a certain extent. Like in a lower skill league, it kind of goes hard, or against like newer players or whatever. Like I had a couple matches in GLDL and VBA when I had it where the coach either wasn't ready for it or just wasn't like super experienced and really wasn't like respecting it enough, and it just kind of like maxed turn 1 and just killed everything. But like, so I would say it's like one of those mons, kind of like Glastrier, that like as the skill level of the league goes up, the ability for the Pokemon to just like auto sweep goes way down.
Makes sense.
But I think, I mean, I think he underrates Cinderace in general, and I think I probably overrated a little bit. But you know, I've only ever gotten semifinals with it, so we'll see.
Well, that could change soon, but we'll see.
Could change, yeah. I have two chances for that to change.
You have 2 chances. All right. So then I guess the other thing I'd like to point out is Pincurchin is a fucking god. And pairing that with a Rangaroo is a dangerous combination. I think we talked about it before. We did some calc, and it was like a Pincurchin can OHKO a Kyogre.
Yeah, max Kyogre.
And even if it doesn't, a Rangaroo's there to just go, do it again.
Seriously. Yeah, I'm really excited to use a Rangaroo. I think it's going to be like... It is probably not going to come like super, super often.
Yeah.
And like having the 60 speed tier actually does kind of make it work under Tailwind decently, so there's always a possibility that I'll run like Tailwind and then do like, you know, just instruct but fast.
I mean,
right.
You know, but I have like a lot of really good, especially in like the late game, I have really good instruct targets.
Yeah.
Rising Voltage Pincurchin, Hyper Voice Primarina, Dragon Energy, Regidrago, Earthquake Marowak with Telepathy. So I have like a lot of really good options to like quick instruct with. Positioning it might be a little weird, and I'm a little bit that like I might run into a situation where it's hard to justify it over something else, but we'll see.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm excited to use it regardless.
I am very excited to see this thing pop off. So I would, I guess, move on from here and say, out of all the people in the Arcanine division, obviously, I think you know most of them at this point.
Yeah.
But who would you say, throughout your season, at least the main season, are you the most excited to play, and who are you dreading the most this season?
I think the dreading question is a little easier, so I'll start with that one. I'd say probably Pedons. Team is crazy, and I'm like, I definitely am gonna have to like prep my ass off for that. But I think I have a decent matchup into it, and also I have a decent record on Rolo, and I'm like kind of keyed into his playstyle a little bit, so it makes me a little bit less nervous. But Pedons, I've never played him, and I don't remember what week I have him even, and his team is just like crazy. Like mega fast mode, Regieleki, Dragapult stuff, and I might not even have like a super good answer for those things, so that's probably the one I'm most worried to play. Most excited? I don't really know. Maybe R2.
Okay.
I lost to him in season 1 back when it was the Erie Division Draft League, and I kind of want to get the run back. Also, I feel like I was the one who liked his team the least out of all the PRs, and so I feel like I need to like justify that too.
Fair enough.
And again, like, disclaimer, I don't think the team is bad at all. The fact that I put it at 6th, like, speaks volumes about, like, the general power level of the teams. But, again, not a bad team. But
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we touched on this, like, a couple minutes ago. But early predictions, considering the power level of the teams and the coaches in the division and all that business, what do you think your odds are of making playoffs?
I should. I think I should. Like, if I don't, I'm genuinely gonna be like, I'm gonna have to like take a step back and reevaluate something about my own play, because I think my team is just. And that's less of a, like, oh, I think I'm really good, and more of, like, my team, like my first few matchups especially, like I'm looking at them and I'm like, this team just kind of like auto wins some of them. So like on paper, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, I think I should make playoffs, but obviously there's always a chance I don't. I think just in terms of like, I am, so normally I have a front office, El Flamingo helps me with prep in like GLDL and VBA and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this league I'm kind of solo prepping only.
Right.
Like not even like getting another pair of eyes on it just to like make sure I didn't mess anything up. Like I'm not showing my teams to anyone. I'm just like straight up solo prepping. And so it might take me a minute to like adjust to that. Because I've had this certain process of running test games and running teams past Flamingo and all that. So it might be a little bit of an adjustment, but I just want to see if I can like do it in a league that's not like super high stakes for me.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
I can get behind that. I'm doing the exact opposite this season. Instead of doing nothing, instead of doing everything myself, I'm doing basically nothing myself, and we're gonna see how that goes.
That's also fair. I mean, I don't know if anyone has this attitude. Hopefully not. But like, I've never been one to be like, oh, your front office prepped for you, so you don't deserve the win or whatever. Like,
no.
I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to play. As long as you're like not in a call with your front office and he's making the plays for you, like,
right.
You still have to play.
And also, in my opinion, I think as long as you've helped contribute to the building of the team well, like, as long as your front office doesn't send you a paste and say gen that, then I think
right. Yeah, well, that's how I run things with Flamingo. Is like I'll make a team on my own, and then I'll send it to him, and then he will say, "Oh, what about this? What about this? What do you have for this?" Mm-hmm. And he almost just asks me questions, and then I answer them, and I create like a new much. And I change because of that. But like, it's never like, "Oh, this is bad. You should run this." It's more of like, because I think my building on its own is like fine, but yeah, then having another pair of eyes on it always helps, obviously.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
It's always good. Oh yeah, I agree with that. Let's see here. So, Wakeman, I would love to know if you have obviously received a tiny bit of flack for these PRs, just a little bit. What would you say to those who have given you flack about those PRs?
I mean, I think really I don't think I've gotten a ton of flack.
Just a little bit, but
just a little, yeah. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like PRs are not like predictive or anything like that, and they really like, especially preseason, like they don't mean like hardly anything. Like there's some of the better coaches in this division I ended up rating kind of low. So like it's not like me saying I think this team is like this coach is going to do poorly, but I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's just an opinion, and it's like, I mean, I stand by my opinions, and like maybe there are a few things I would change, looking at other power rankings and looking at teams more and all that, but like, you know, I thought I would actually get a lot more flack for putting my own team at number one.
The thing is, Wakeman, it makes sense.
Yeah, I pulled a Dan Mimont.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you drafted Ed's team and put yourself at number one, I think many people would have some questions.
Yeah.
But
sure.
No, yours makes sense to me to be number one.
Yeah.
I could see an argument for yours or Robo's being number one.
Yeah, or Pedon's even. I think Pedon's is really good too.
That is
honestly
solid team.
All right, then I think that's all we have, right, Raz?
I do have a couple more.
Okay.
So we starting during the off season, in between UDL seasons, R2 started messing with this auction draft, which obviously is the format that you're participating in. and it started to like expand and kind of make an impact. People have been talking about it. Obviously now it's a regular season thing. I know your thoughts about that regarding other leagues, but just like after participating in it this season, what are your thoughts on the format, like strengths, weaknesses, etc.?
To put it like short, like the short way is just I hate it. Like it was okay. I guess my main problems with it, one, I thought it would be like a really fun process, but it turned out to be like really long and grueling, and like I know we started early and didn't have a timer going and all that, but like it was also like everyone has to say out on every pick, and so you always have to be around or have a proxy around, and I just, the process was fine, right? Like I didn't like despise it, but the combination of it being really long, really like attention intensive, like you had to always be paying attention to it. And then just in general, I think it creates, I don't know, it's hard. And like, I've thought about ways to fix it and like balance it a little bit more, but certain things that happen, like 5-point goal trace, 1-point Primarina, 1-point Alolan Persian, 1-point Heatran, like stuff like that. Like it's, especially with only 12 coaches, I felt like a lot of the times I was like, every time I nominated something, I was just like, it was just a crapshoot, and I was like, okay, I'm hoping nobody else wants this,
right?
Because like that's what happened with Rolo, right? And he nominated Gold Trace round 1, and everyone was like, eh.
Yeah.
Whether that was right or wrong, that's a whole other debate. And I would have upbid on it if I didn't tell him I wouldn't.
Right.
But I think a lot of those things, like the fact that Glaceon went for like 20 something points.
Yep.
Alchemy went for 40.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Stuff like that, going for like really high, and then stuff like Gold Trace going for 5. Like it just it irks the like desire for like tier list balance in myself, because of like my experience tiering for my own league and stuff. And I don't even know if there's a great way to fix that. It can also, I don't think this happened a ton in this auction, but it can also lead to like, oh, let's upbid on this guy, haha, funny meme, and then it's like, and then it's, and then it's not cool for that person, and everyone kind of thinks it's funny, but it's also like annoying.
Yeah.
And I can't think of too many times that happened, but I don't know. I think it actively hurts like people who plan ahead extensively, and I don't think that's a good thing either. Like I had to pivot my original plan a lot, and I think my team ended up better, so I guess that would go to show that it rewards you for like adapting, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it also like hurts people who like plan ahead, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I do also would like to say, I mean, it didn't happen a ton, other than a couple people, but it is a very easy format to take control of and manipulate if you know what you're doing as well.
Rolo moment.
A Rolo moment of making backroom deals with literally every coach, or threats, or anything like that, just to show he can do it.
Well, that's the thing. That's another thing with 12 coaches. It's not that hard to do either. Like,
yeah,
like
very true.
I mean, I ended up like for a couple of my picks. I think Primarina, especially. I talked to you. I talked to Haley. I talked to pretty much like anyone who looked like they could take it at the time. I was like, hey, can you like not? P-Dons I talked to. But yeah, I mean. Yeah, ultimately it was just like the other weird part was like the whole thing with like how many points you have left obviously affects how much bargaining power you have,
right.
And so like that created situations like mine where I had to like leave Metagross because I couldn't afford it, which is I mean that's just part of the auction, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but Yeah, I guess that's the long answer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I guess the last thing we would really want to know is you, Wakeman, owner of GLDL, conqueror of that ass, draft aficionado, you are an expert in auction. So...
No, we already know his thoughts on this.
Yeah,
we don't have to get into it.
All right, fair enough. We won't go into that then. But...
Now I'm curious.
Okay, so give us your short answer. If a certain owner of a premier draft league were to approach you and say, "Hey, I'm going to do auction for this format," what would you tell that owner?
I mean, yeah, I do think everyone knows my thoughts on this already. But short answer: please leave it alone. Don't mess with it. It's not worth it. That's pretty much it.
Okay, then I think that is everything we needed to cover here. Wakeman, if you would please let the good people know where they can find you, YouTube, Twitch, all the like.
You can
Anything
find me on
plug?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Samuel Wakeman. It's just my name.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you can't really find me anywhere else. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That'll work. All right then.
Well,
Well, folks, go ahead, Rez.
I'm just saying that stuff's going to be in the description. The PRs, we'll link the PR video because that's something that we've talked about in a whole bunch of videos, and we'll also link the channel, even though the video will take you to the channel. But we're going to link both anyway, just to be safe.
Hey, you could link my Discord server too.
Also,
Great
that
Lakes Draft League.
Great Lakes Draft League. Join it down below.
Absolutely.
It's a sick place. Head over there.
It is a awesome league. I don't think anybody has had any problems with it. I think it's a pretty good league. So, much to your credit because you are the owner and operator. So,
Indeed.
All right. Then I think that is everything that we had planned today, fellas. All you folks at home, thank you for watching another interview from the UDL Coach Interviews. We are the Draft Degenerates. I'm Toby, that's Rez, but you knew that. And we would like to say thank you one more time to Samuel L. Wakeman, owner and operator of the GLDL, conqueror of that ass,
sponsor,
official sponsor,
hashtag
PR benefactor of the Draft Degenerates. Therefore, hashtag bias. Thank you very much, Wakeman.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys.
And we will see you guys next time. Peace.